Hey, awesome parents and guardians. Before we kick off today's podcast craziness, quick heads up. We're about to unravel some age-old mysteries, including the one about a certain jolly gift giver who frequents this time of year. If the little ones are in earshot, maybe steer them towards a festive adventure until we wrap up. Thanks a bunch. The mere mention of Christmas evokes warm memories of family, gifts, and the most wonderful time of the year. Online and in-store retailers rake in up to 50% of their yearly income, and that's great. After all, we're celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ. Why shouldn't we go all out? But did you know that the roots of Christmas traditions go back way before the birth of Jesus? Today we're diving into the historical mix of Christmas, from ancient Egyptian and Roman celebrations to the evolution of Santa Claus himself. It's all a matter of history, folks. And while many Christians today are concerned about putting the Christ back into Christmas, well, perhaps the real question is, was he ever there to begin with?
Are you not curious? Who is this man? This enigma? Yes, a man of many talents, but he is a glitch in the system. He spends his nights scouring texts for traces of lost knowledge. We dare not stand by and turn a blind eye to this man speaking on a public forum. It is all in the file. I present to you on this day the Ryan Files.
Thanks for joining the Ryan Files, folks. Big shout out to our fantastic subscribers. Your support means the world. If you're feeling generous this Christmas, the best gift for us is a simple subscribe. It truly makes a difference for our growing podcast. Thank you so much. Now let's journey back to ancient Rome, where the party started with a festival called Saturnalia around 217 BC. Of course, the roots of this festival date back to Greek celebrations, which in turn found its roots in the ancient Egyptian Empire. But the Romans knew how to party. Picture this: wild celebrations, sacrifices, and a carnival atmosphere that flipped Roman social norms on their head. Gambling ran rampant, and drunkenness was not only expected, but encouraged. But how did this pagan bash connect to our modern Christmas? So first things first, you're not going to find the modern version of or the term Christmas in the Bible, primarily because the idea of Christmas did not come around until the 4th century AD, over 300 years after the last of the New Testament was written. It all started in 313 AD when Emperor Constantine the Great embraced Christianity. The Catholic Church existed at this time, and in 350 AD, Pope Julius I established December 25th as the date of Christmas, which was a celebration of the birth of Jesus Christ. Later that century, in 380 AD, the Emperor Theodosius issued the Edict of Thessalonica, which made Christianity the official religion of the Roman Empire and was headed up by, of course, the Roman Catholic Church. And eventually, Emperor Justinian made Christmas a civic holiday of the Roman Empire in 529 AD. So the question is, why was December 25th established as Christmas? Well, the Catholic Church ordered the feast to be celebrated on the day of the Mithraic rites of the birth of the sun on December 25th and at the close of Saturnalia, as no certain knowledge of the day of Christ's actual birth existed. So let me get this straight. The Catholic Church in the 4th century chose December 25th, the birthday of the pagan mystery god Mithra, and the close of the pagan holiday of Saturnalia to celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ, whose actual birthday was unknown, and beyond that, many of the pagan customs from both Mithra's birthday and the Saturnalia were adopted into the Christian Christmas holiday. Okay. Oh, and why not? Many important and wealthy Romans had converted to Christianity in the 4th century. But as aristocrats, they also loved their ancient Roman traditions. A Christmas with a lot of Saturnalia customs thrown in was a way to have their cake and eat it too. Plus, let's not forget that December 25th was also chosen as Christmas simply to make it an easier transition to go from the worship of pagan gods like Saturn to Christianity. We see the same thing happen later as the Catholic Church changed the day we go to church. The traditional Jewish Sabbath on Saturdays was changed to Sundays, the day to worship the sun god in most pagan religions. And again, this was done to make it easier for followers of pagan religions to adopt Christianity. Kind of interesting, eh? But wait, there's more. Let's go ahead and unwrap some of the mysteries behind some of our most familiar Christmas traditions. Gift giving during Saturnalia? Check. In addition, the Roman New Year on January 1st was celebrated by decorating houses with greenery and lights and giving gifts to children and the poor. Sounds a lot like our modern Christmas, doesn't it? Now, what about those wise men? Note, I didn't say 3 wise men. No number of wise men is given in the Bible, and clearly the assumption of 3 wise men come from the 3 gifts, gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And unlike the Roman Saturnalia customs of giving gifts, well, the gifts from the wise men were something totally different, and certainly were not what we would call birthday gifts today. It's a long-standing ancient custom of the East to present gifts when coming before a king. And when seeing Jesus, it was the wise men's belief that they were in the presence of the King of the Jews. Thus the gifts, thus the story. So what about that Christmas tree? Now surely the wood of the tree represents the cross or something like that. No, sorry. The modern Christmas tree originated in Germany, but the Germans got it from the Romans, who got it from the Babylonians and the Egyptians. An old Babylonian fable told of an evergreen tree which sprang out of a dead tree stump. The old stump symbolized the dead Nimrod. The new evergreen tree symbolized that Nimrod had come back to life again. Among the Druids, the oak was sacred. Among the Egyptians, it was the palm, and in Rome, it was the fir, which was decorated with red berries during Saturnalia. Oh, and by the way, Nimrod, well, he was a ruler who commissioned the construction of the Tower of Babel. And he had a reputation for being a king who was rebellious against God. Remember that name, Nimrod. It comes up again a bit later. So let's move on to some more subtle Christmas traditions. The holly, the mistletoe, the Yule log, each are relics from pre-Christian times. Regarding wreaths of holly, European pagans brought holly sprays into their homes, offering them to the fairy people of the forest as refuge from the harsh winter weather. And during the Saturnalia, branches of holly were exchanged as tokens of friendship. The earliest Roman Christians apparently used holly as a decoration during the Christmas season. Now, Christmas is incomplete unless it involves kissing under the mistletoe. This pagan custom was natural on many a Saturnalia night, which involved much revelry done in the spirit of drunken parties. And of course, never forget that mistletoe was considered to have special powers of healing for those who reveled under it. Additionally, the European mistletoe is thought to have had special ritual significance in druidical ceremonies and lives on in folklore to this day. Now, like mistletoe, holly berries were also thought to be sacred to the sun god. The original sun log came to be called the Yule log. Yule simply means a wheel, which has long been a pagan representation of the sun. No wonder people today commonly speak of the sacred Yuletide season. One of my favorite finds when researching the history of Christmas is the subject of wassail parties. We all know the Christmas carol, "Here they come a-wassailing among the leaves so green." And how about, "We wish you a Merry Christmas," you know, "Oh, bring us some figgy pudding," and "We won't go until we get some." Let me explain. In England, wassailing was associated with rowdy bands of young men who would enter the homes of wealthy neighbors and demand some food and drink, much in the same manner to the modern children's Halloween practice of trick-or-treating. Now, if the householder refused, he was usually cursed, and occasionally his house was vandalized. Thus the example of the figgy pudding and "We won't go until we get some, so bring some right here." Such complaints were also common in the early days of the United States, where the practice and its negative connotations had taken root by the early 1800s, which led to efforts from the American merchant class to promote a more sanitized version of Christmas. Some historians believe the Christmas stocking custom derived from the Germanic Scandinavian figure of Odin, again a pagan god. In this tradition, children would place their boots, filled with carrots, straw, or sugar, near the chimney for Odin's flying horse, Sleipnir, to eat. Odin would reward those children for their kindness by replacing Sleipnir's food with gifts or candy. This practice survived in Germany, Belgium, and the Netherlands after the adoption of Christianity and became associated with St. Nicholas as a result of the process of Christianization. Wait, say what? St. Nicholas? Ah, yes, of course. We have to talk about Santa Claus. So let's talk about the legend of St. Nicholas first. Legend has it that St. Nicholas was staying with a poor family and heard that the father was planning to sell his 3 daughters into prostitution to save them all from starvation. St. Nicholas wanted to help, but knew that the old man would not accept charity, so he decided to help in secret. When he left the house after dark, he threw 3 bags of gold through an open window and directly into some socks which were hung by the fireplace to dry. Now, when the girls and their father woke up the next morning, they found the bags of gold and were, of course, overjoyed. The girls were saved from their sad fate. Pretty awesome aim. The modern Santa Claus comes from St. Nicholas. Washington Irving in 1809 is responsible for making the original old stern bishop of the same name into the new Jolly St. Nick in his Knickerbocker History of New York. And as hard as it is to believe, most of the rest of America's Christmas traditions are even more recent than this. But when doing a deeper dive, you come across some interesting facts, such as Old Nick has long been recognized as a term for the devil. And according to Langer's Encyclopedia of World History, Santa was a common name throughout Asia Minor for, guess who? Nimrod. This was also the same fire god who came down the chimney of the ancient pagans and the same fire god to whom infants were burned and eaten in human sacrifice. Okay, but back to St. Nicholas and how he became Santa Claus. The story behind Santa goes back to the 3rd century during the time of St. Nicholas, a monk, even though some sources state that he was a bishop. Now, Nicholas was born around 280 AD in Patara in modern-day Turkey. Legend states that Nicholas had a giving spirit, and he traveled the countryside helping those less fortunate and the sick. Nicholas's parents were very wealthy and left the bulk of their estates to Nicholas when they died. Now, Nicholas, who was always the person who had that giving spirit, well, he took his inheritance and gave to those less fortunate and lived a life of humility. And yep, he had a white beard and a mustache. But of course, so did Odin. Yes, that is correct. The Norse god Odin not only had a white beard and mustache, but he flew around in December to head off the wild hunt. And he knew who had been good and who had been bad, and he hunted down the bad ones. He had an 8-legged horse named Sleipnir, again, that pulled his sleigh, and he was the most iconic figure of Yuletide, a pagan holiday that celebrated hospitality, feasting, and that's right, gift-giving. But wait, there's more. Elves and dwarves, who originated from Norse mythology, were Odin's helpers and were known to be amazing creators. Sound like anyone you know? The name Santa Claus eventually evolved from the Dutch. In the Dutch language, Sinterklaas is a shortened form of Sint Nicolaas, which is translated as the Dutch name for St. Nicholas. And so it was that the Dutch brought St. Nicholas, or Sint Nicolaas, or Sinterklaas, to the New World when they settled New Amsterdam, the 17th century settlement that would later become, boom, Manhattan. But what really put booster rockets on Santa's sleigh and why he is such a cultural icon today was consumer capitalism. In no time at all, merchants began to realize that St. Nicholas was a figure which could lead to the transformational significance and importance of gift giving and profits during the Christmas season. And they were right. And so here we are today. Now, this has been a very interesting subject to research. And while some of the details are rather shocking, perhaps even disappointing, I did uncover something that really blew my mind. While December 25th is entrenched in tradition, historical and biblical and astrological clues suggest Jesus was not born in December. The Bible's mention of shepherds tending their flocks and abiding in fields aligns more with a time frame before the rainy season, which started in October. Now, there is some historical evidence that points to the strong possibility of Jesus being born on, believe it or not, Wednesday, September 11th, 3 BC, during the first day of the Jewish holiday, the Feast of Tabernacles. Ironically, during this time, there was an astrological conjunction between Jupiter and Regulus, the star of kingship, the brightest star in the constellation of Leo, and this would have certainly been a sign that the wise men could have deemed the Star of Bethlehem. So what do we make of all this? Well, the Christmas holiday is mired in pagan traditions, ancient legends, and modern-day capitalism. And historically, we know that Jesus Christ was not born on December 25th. Well, my friends, I can tell you this. Whatever the origins of the Christmas holiday, there can be no doubt that the holiday season is unique and special in the way it feels, in the way people act, and perhaps even in the way we perceive our fellow human beings. In a world that is constantly embroiled in negativity, Christmas brings out something positive and tangible in society. And that, my friends, is a good thing. So this Christmas, I'll give out the gifts, I'll sing the carols, and I'll take some time to remember one simple fact. Regardless on what day Jesus was born, he gave us all the greatest gift of all. And if you believe, you can receive that precious gift of eternal life. And maybe come next September, when the world is talking about something terrible that happened just over 20 years ago in the world, maybe I'll celebrate something that could have happened just over 2,000 years ago. Thank you everyone for being part of the Ryan Files family. Your support is the best gift. I'm so grateful for each and every one of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Merry Christmas. Have a fantastic holiday. And I'm going to catch you next week with fan and special returning guest Sean Barker as we dive in once again into the flat earth topic. Until then, stay curious, my friends. Merry Christmas. Thank you so much. And we'll see you next week right here on the Ryan Files.
The Ryan Files.